All right, couple of tech things. Okay, we're good to go. Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome back to another Catharsis Healing Talk. We got a beautiful, amazing show for you today. And it's all about taking back control of your health. Very exciting. My name is Helmut. I am here with some beautiful, wonderful friends. Laura Kitty. Hi, Laura.
Hello.
DeAnna. Hi, DeAnna.
Hello.
DeAnna is joining us to share some of her quite amazing experiences throughout the past year. And welcome, DeAnna. And then, of course, Kay, my wife, Kay Goodell Whitaker, the author of The Reluctant Shaman and Sacred Link, and the one who got us into all these troubles with the red doors. She created them. All right, let's just jump into it. DeAnna, wherever you want to start, take it away.
Thanks. So I like to start of why I bought my first Red Bull, which was a year ago. And I was going down and I was visiting.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Disclaimer.
Yes, thank
Important.
you. Sorry for interrupting you. Let's do this real quick. Since this is about Catharsis Red Door and the Catharsis healing work, we need to share the disclaimer before we dive into it. So here it goes. This is the Catharsis and the Catharsis Red Door disclaimer. The healing work and teachings that we offer and that you are receiving stem from ancient spiritual healing traditions and are not intended as a medical or psychological service in the allopathic sense of the term. We do not make any medical claims. The ideas, information, procedures, and suggestions we provide are based on those ancient spiritual traditional healing traditions and are not intended as a substitute for consulting with a medical professional. Kay, I, or anyone else working with us shall not be liable or responsible for any loss or damage allegedly arising from anything we provide. Our healing work and teachings are rendered within the context of the ancient traditions they are based on. Everyone receiving healing work or teachings from us is wholly and entirely responsible for their own health and health care. All right, ready to go, DeAnna.
So I had been a recipient of the Red Door healing from Laura because I was diagnosed about 5 years ago with a rare swallowing condition called achalasia. And Laura worked on me in the bowl for a long time and found really great benefits from it. And am now healed and doing awesome and swallowing no problem. But about a year ago, I went down to visit her and I said, "Oh, I can't give you a hug. We're getting over lice." And she just, so casually said, "Oh, the Red Door can heal that." And I was like, I'm in. Like, that was the straw. Like, I knew all these magical things that can happen with it, but I was finally like, I need this myself because I'm not dealing with lice again.
I have to say, everybody has their tipping points.
Yeah.
And lice was,
yeah.
I was less afraid of COVID than I was of lice. Put it that way.
So I got my first bowl and using the Quick Start program and started using it for myself and my family. And I would just say it's kind of a casual dabbler in it and enjoying it, and working with my brother, who was super supportive and bought a bowl for himself that I worked on. And but the story I would love to really share today is about my daughter, who is going to turn 6 next month. She's 5. Her name is Laurel, and she's wonderful and delightful and amazing and very challenging and very difficult. And the point that I knew I needed something else was back in May of this year. She had a very small, like 2 centimeter cut on her big toe, and it started streaking, like it became infected within 12 hours. And I started seeing red lines go up her foot. And so, we got that taken care of, but it was such a wake up call, because this is the kid who in our family would be sick first, would catch everything and anything that was out there, and stay sick the longest of all of us. And at first I was like, oh, she's the youngest, her immune system is still, but it was constantly this chronic ongoing sickness and constant runny nose. She also was very challenging to parent, and that she's very different than our oldest daughter, where our oldest daughter would implode and cry and weep and want comfort, where Laurel would explode and she would be inconsolable. She would cry. She'd wake up in the middle of the night and cry for like 45 minutes of these deep, heartbreaking wails, but didn't want to be touched, didn't want to be comforted, just cried, and then essentially would cry herself to sleep. And both my partner and I just felt so helpless in having to comfort her and not knowing what's wrong, not knowing what she needs. She didn't start talking until she was like 2, and pretty much she wasn't talking at 2. And so pretty much since 2, we've been seeking out professional help. And so we've gone to chiropractics, we've gone to naturopaths, we've gone to developmental pediatricians, we've gone to our pediatrician, we've gone to speech therapy, we've gone to occupational therapy. And a lot of, at best, they would nod sympathetically and provide some diagnosis and then weekly treatment. And at worst, they would say, well, we don't think she's autistic. She's probably just anxious. And I'm like, something is off. Something is not right in this. And I work professionally as a child and family mental health therapist. And so I know the spectrum. I know what like child development looks like. And I'm like, yes, this is within the normal range of like kid behavior, but something is off. Something is wrong. And there's something just like, I just felt like her brain was trying to work and it just couldn't. And it kept getting locked up. And she'd get so frustrated because she knew what she wanted and she knew what she wanted to say, but she couldn't. And so when she finally got that streaking thing, I called up Laura and I was like, can you please do the analysis and figure out what's going on? Because even though I had my own Red Bull and I'd been treating the symptoms of what was going on and adding like calming things and, fill her with green light. And I was too intimately close that I needed a buddy kind of outside to do the analysis. And what came back was how much toxins she had in her body, that she had Lyme disease, that she had severe kind of reactions to gluten, cow dairy, corn, oats, which are all like part of our diet. And so Laura gave me some programming. So back in May, I put her in the bowl, and similar to the story last week about Keeper just slowly gaining weight, I feel like that's really similar with Laura. Like she just slowly came into her own, and this sense of like calm and loving and healthier. She's healthier now. But the biggest thing I'm noticing is just how loving she is. And when she's upset, she can talk through it. She's more patient. She's more polite. She gets along better with people. She gets less frustrated. She wants kisses now. Like I come home and I get like 5 or 6 kisses. She left this morning to go to school. She's like, wait, I need another kiss. And this is a kid who would like tolerate, like she's like, fine, you can kiss me. Like she would tolerate it before, but now she seeks it out and loves touches and cuddles and is an amazingly articulate child. And so she's still in the bowl. We tried about a month and a half ago, I needed to switch some things out. And I was like, oh, she seems really stable. Like we can take her out. And like 48 hours later, we're like, yeah, that didn't work. Because it wasn't, I think I put my husband in, he's like, it's not worth the joy that I get from being in the bowl for the turmoil that it creates. And so she's back in the bowl, and it's just, she doesn't ever get out of the bowl. And so it's just, yeah, it's been a game changer. And what's really also interesting, the other piece is that Laura was able to say, like, these things, these are allergies, and that's how she kind of described it. And so I was like, well, let's go see our naturopath. And we did a blood test, and they didn't come up in the blood test as being allergies. But what I realized is that what they're testing for is something very different than what Laura was asking about. And we've dabbled, when she goes to like birthday parties and kids are having cupcakes, I'm like, I don't want to be the mom, you can't eat that. And so I let her have it, and we all pay the price for it. And she's starting to recognize, even at 5, she's like, oh, does this have gluten in it? I don't like it when I have gluten. And she recognizes it gums up her brain. Like, she just can't get the words out, and it gets her frustrated because she is 5. And so she knows in her heart of hearts what she wants to say, but it's just like the neurons aren't firing together. So she is starting to make really cool and healthy choices for herself. Yeah, so that's Laurel. I have other stories, but I'm wondering if Laura or anyone has questions or wants to add anything to that.
I'm hoping Kay does. I'm just getting teary. I don't know what it is about kids, and I need to stop talking, or else I'm gonna be a wreck. But it's just, I love helping everybody, but getting kids back online, I mean, oh my gosh, it's so right. I've got other kids, and helping kids right now I'm helping one kid with a heart issue that they couldn't figure out why he was clenching his teeth. Mm-hmm. And it turned out his body, he just was ignoring pain. He was so used to the pain, and so it was physically coming out that way and clenching the teeth. And because, that parent sought me out to figure out why he was grinding his teeth, we found out his heart was weak, and that that a virus had gotten there and weakened the muscle of the heart, or the big word that I'm forgetting. Anyways, it was, and so we're repairing, his heart now, and so he's not a teenager. I mean, this is like nipping in the bud, getting these things now too, where their belief systems, like these things heal so much quicker and faster without all the belief systems that we have later on. Anyways, I want Kay's feedback.
Well, I'm curious because of the behavior that you had described that was typical for her. And then our audience hasn't seen this photo, but this morning I saw a photo of her, which is really recent. And she's got her own bowl in front of her with the name Laurel on it. It's her bowl. And she's got a pendulum, and she's holding this card.
Oh, now I'm gonna cry.
And she's swinging the pendulum in front, and she's asking questions, and she's doing it for real. She's still just 5. In this photo, she looks like a little bit older child. Some people just have that kind of look to them. But I was very surprised to find out that she's really just still 5. And she's successful. She's swinging this pendulum. She's focused, and she's just really, I mean, she's just tunneled right in to the bowl and the pendulum and her question. And I've been teaching the bowl and pendulums for at least 30 years to people, mostly adults. And most of them have a much harder time, especially starting out. So what I saw in that picture in your description of her doing it for real and getting real answers, that I'm very curious about her left brain and right brain, left body, right body activity. Has anybody tested to see, what kind of thing is going on? With the descriptions of her difficulty being able to think, and that's a linear way of thinking and trying to talk, linear talking. And I'm going to guess probably other linear tasks like reading, things like that, and patience level, which is a linear thing. I'm wondering if that side is weaker, just a whole lot weaker, and that's where a lot of the poisons and other disruptions may have been, and that she's much more comfortable in the nonlinear. Is that?
Yes, what you're saying totally resonates and also aligns with the vague information I get from more traditional, I don't know if traditional is the right word, but from her occupational therapist, that she doesn't have a lot of core muscle strength. And so she has like the coordination, even though she can like ride a bike really well, there's definitely some like that left, right side thinking very much aligns with my experience of her. And I don't know why that is, but you're saying that. And I'm like, oh yeah. And yeah, patience has been really hard for her. And she has such a beautiful imagination, and she really loves imaginary play, and an amazingly creative young woman. And so I think loves being in the nonlinear and tolerates the linear.
There's a few.
You definitely need to continue to do things to strengthen the linear, her core muscles on the physical level, all that kind of stuff. But don't let the nonlinear slide. As she gets older and she's exposed more to school and the modern world, and those things are all designed to shut down the nonlinear, everything that is of the spiritual and energetic levels. So she's got it. She loves it. She's got a gift. Support it.
Before we get started, you shared a story about Laurel before she went off to school, asking you to put some things in the bowl. Would you share this?
Yeah. So we were playing with the bowl last night together. And then this morning at breakfast, she said to me, she's like, Mama, I want you to put love, gratitude, appreciation, and kindness in the bowl for me. And I said, okay, you want me to put love, gratitude, appreciation, and kindness? And you want me to put that in the bowl? She said, yes. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And so she was very focused on that. And then last night, is the other thing, we were playing with the bowl, we were putting cards in and things like that. And then she said, can we put sleepy time tea in my bowl? And I said, yeah, well, let's find out. And so she went and she got her favorite kind of sleepy time tea. And we asked the bowl, and it said yes, but then she intuitively was like, I don't think not tonight. I don't think we should put it in tonight. And so we didn't put it in tonight, but she is really loving that idea that this is hers. I think she's starting to realize her name. And so she could see the sticky note that has her name on it. And and maybe also, that's my linear brain thinking, she might just feel like this is my bowl, and she knows it regardless if it has her name on it. So
that is so cool.
That's just fabulous. It's so beautiful. The two cats that we've had through our life together, they each had their own bowl, at least one. If they were sick, they'd probably get a second, maybe a third bowl, for the occasion. But they've always known which was their bowl. And where I had them is different from where they all are right now. I didn't have very much room. So a lot of these bowls, I had a lot of clients, were lined up on the floor in front of the bookshelves. And she knew which one was hers. It was in the middle there somewhere. And she always knew, and she'd go and curl up around it or next to it. And the second cat, everything was up on the shelves. So she'd jump up on the shelves and she'd go and check her bowl and hang by it. She couldn't lay, there's no room to lay there, but she'd hang by it and she'd always go check it. She'd put her, nose in, she'd put her paw in, she'd be touching everything. So, and the animals have strong nonlinear knowledge and perception. They understand and operate a great deal in that nonlinear. And kids have the opportunity to do that. Unfortunately, in our modern culture, we shut them down as early as we can, and all the different kind of things that we do, and the shows, TV shows, and the video games, and school, and all that stuff. It's all designed to shut down the nonlinear and make them stay in the linear. So she's got a special gift. Yeah.
It's kind of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Helmut. What were you going to say?
Well, the thought of many more kids and maybe even adults going to start their day with these kind of things in the bowl.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's so cool.
how amazing is that? That she asks for it before she. That is just so cool. Okay, let's go
Just
into.
out of curiosity, real quick. Did she say this on a phone, text you, or in person?
Laurel? Oh, she said it in person before she went off to school this morning. Yeah. So at breakfast, she said it in person. And then just to bring it full circle, in all of our bowls, it says repel lice. And that's just a standard, and it never comes out because I'm not getting lice. So
ever again.
no.
I met it when DeAnna and I first met each other. It was for a reading, and she was pregnant with Laurel. They hadn't even picked Laurel's name yet, but so I got to meet Laurel, in vitro many moons ago, and DeAnna's all of her questions from me to the spirits were about being a good parent. Every single question. When she wanted to make sure she was a good parent to Hazel and Laurel, and I'm like, I think you are. If we're starting the conversation this way, I don't think you have much to worry about. But Laurel, Laurel came around the same time I started learning Red Door too. Just ironic timing that all of this all seems to, she was exposed to it in vitro in many ways.
Okay, more stories.
I have a few fun ones that are related to my more extended family. So my brother, in support, as I was slowly, cautiously telling him about studying Katasi, and I bought this bowl, and he got his first COVID shot and had vaccine, and kind of had a loose reaction, but he was really anxious about the second one because he'd heard that was often the most kind of robust reaction. And so I said, well, I'm gonna put you in the bowl. Is that okay? And he had, and I did after a second shot, and he had no negative effects from the second COVID shot. He was like a little bit tired, and he was like, this is great. He's like, can I rent some space can I rent a space in a bowl? I was like, yeah, how about this? You pay for half and you can have it for 6 months and I'll work on you. And then after a month and a half of working on him and talking with him and like, what are you noticing with this? And so it was this really beautiful bonding between my brother and I of like, how are you feeling? And I wouldn't tell him what I was putting in the bowl. I would just do stuff. And then I'd be like, what are you noticing? And he loved it. And he was going through a divorce, and it was kind of this very slow, drawn out, difficult, uncomfortable divorce. And I ended up putting the Star Wars program in for him. And he was able to just kind of cut the cord and end it and find his own boundaries and send her off with love. And we then wrote up some statements around asking the universe to provide kind of this mate when he was ready. And so we started dating, and it's just just has found so much success with it, including one of my favorite ones is that he had mice in his house. And I was like, I haven't worked on this. And so I made a witness package for his house. I asked it to rehome the mice. And the moment it went in the bowl, he never found any more mice in his house. So it was super fun of like this very tangible thing where you'd found 4 or 5 mice. And then once the program was in the bowl. So that was one of my favorites, is the rehoming.
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
DeAnna, you want to give just kind of a little of his professional background, just a pinch? So,
yeah.
I mean, it makes it even cooler.
Oh yeah. So professionally, I think his master's degree is in optical engineering, and he professionally teaches as a teacher now, engineering to medical equipment, but he very much understands like physics. And I was like, so the bowl uses scalar waves. And he's like, okay, yeah, keep going. And I was like, oh, you know what that is? And so like he gets it. And so it's great because he can wear this very deep science hat that I don't even always understand, but then also can appreciate the nonlinear side of things. And if I say that he is a muggle, he would be very offended because he has very much dive into his own practice of nonlinear studies and things like that. And so, but he has a very deep engineering brain to him. And so it's even cooler because he can appreciate and balance out both of those. So my other favorite story is my husband, when I put him in the bowl and we first got the coherence program, I think it took us a little while for him to say, all right, you can put me in. And so I put him in, and like 3 or 4 days later, I was noticing right away, like he was just calmer and he was more centered and just like more patient with the girls and like rolling with the stress of everything. And he had busy mornings where he was in charge of drop off during the summertime, of dropping the girls off in 2 locations and picking them up. And we were sitting at the table and he was like listing off all these really beautiful things. And I was sitting there going, And he was like, stop with smart. I was like, why can't you admit that it's the bowl? And he's like, well, I don't know, maybe. And then he keeps talking. He's like, and then he finally discloses that he is getting weepy in the mornings when he's driving around with the girls because he's singing Frozen songs with them. And it was so touching that he kind of got a little teary-eyed because he was just so in love with these moments that used to be incredibly stressful and anxious and driving around, that he's like busting out Frozen Let It Go songs and Do the Next Right Thing. And I mean, he knows all the lyrics now, but that he was like, all right, maybe it's the bowl. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll be right. So that's my other one. That's my other favorite story. So.
Wasn't one of your daughters in the mix in that conversation?
Hazel, the other one, I mean, they were both there. And yeah, I definitely also find Hazel is, she's 10 and is going through starting puberty and stuff. And I definitely notice that when I can get her in the bowl, she's just much more stable and much more balanced. And when she's not, it's, yeah, but
Hey, found the answer to puberty kids going through.
Oh no, yeah, that's, I mean,
man, I wished I had one when the kids were younger.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what
but
is
I don't specifically remember what you're thinking of, Helmet. Sorry.
I don't remember the details, but there was some talk about a salad bowl, and he didn't want to admit it because then you have to get another salad bowl.
That's right. I forgot that last part. Yes. The oldest one. I forgot that. Thank you, Helmet. Is that my husband didn't want. He was like, he didn't want to admit it. And then I think Hazel was like, why don't you want to admit it? He's like, because then I need to buy Mom another salad bowl, and because that's what he affectionately calls them. And so he didn't want to admit that it was working. And so, but she was like, but she could just tell that she was like, but it is working. So yeah, I forgot about that part.
That is really amazing for guys to respond like that, because so many of us go through not just the morning, but the whole day with like, gotta. and then just like forget about that completely and be in the space with your kids, no less. Wow. Thank you.
Thank
What
you.
else?
What else?
So my brother ended up buying a second bowl because he was just so supportive and just loving it so much that his best friend is also in this awkward situation and is doing a lot of struggling. And it's funny because I feel like I intimately know her and love her, but I've never actually talked to her on the phone. But I am broadcasting to her. And so my brother is like assigned a bowl for him and a bowl for her. And typically in September is typically a really rough month for her. And he said like they'll go for a month without talking in September. And he's in August, we put her in the bowl with the song program and really wanting to help her find her own song and just be in her own center. And because she had asked, I want to have the confidence to be me. And I was like, I think I know what you need. And so my brother said in August, a real test will be how September goes, because September is when I usually lose her for a month or two. And they talked all through September. It wasn't a glitch. It just trudging along. It's that slow gain. And I forgot about that until late October. And I was like, hey, how is your best friend doing? And he's like, we talked all of September. She's doing great. She's really solid. She's like, and so it was so exciting that it was like, oh, I had forgotten that September was the rough month for her. And so, so I want to ask, I want to use my brother's other bowl for our father, but he hasn't given me permission yet. He's like, no, we're making too much progress with my best friend right now. And so, yeah.
How's your dad?
Good. He's better. So, with my father, my brother and I chipped in and said, because again, it's like too close to me that I'm not comfortable yet with my own analysis. So we were like, Laura, can you help us? Because he was, diagnosed, with a lot of memory loss stuff. And we were just like, something else is going on. And there was a lot of questioning about what was happening. And so I was able to get Laura to do an analysis. And I don't know if you want to share your experience of when you first put him in the bowl, and then I can finish that. But he's doing better. The meth. Yeah. Do you remember the meth?
Yeah. The first, I had to ask her when I put her dad's witness package in it was menthol. The smell of menthol came out of the bowl, and I'm a smeller, a lot of psychic smells. And so I smell things a lot coming out of the bowl, but I started sneezing. It was so strong. It to the point where I really had to ask the bowl if it wouldn't mind clearing it. And before I think I text DeAnna at that moment, I wasn't even very far into the thing, but I'm like, dude, the menthol is coming out of this bowl. I'll let you finish the story.
So I was like, well, where would that come from? Like, what is that about? He's not a smoker. I mean, he smoked a long, long time ago, like in his 20s. So my brother was able to have a very casual conversation with him. And he essentially said that he's sniffing menthol to help clear his sinuses and his lungs. And my brother's like, that's probably not good. He's like, oh no, I used to do it all the time as a kid. Like doctors used to tell us like we could do that. And my brother made the analogies like, do you mean that back when doctors were smoking and encouraged people to smoke? And my dad was like, yeah, like that back then. And like did not make the connection like that this is really outdated information. But my brother was able to lovingly be like, it's probably good to stop doing that. And so, but yeah, he is doing better and just feels more clear-headed. And so, yeah,
Good.
It's nice. It feels comforting when I can get him in the bowl. He seems more present. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
You've really done a good job of working through your family.
I'm hustling. I'm making it happen.
You are hustling.
As best I can. But it's great. It's fun. And, yeah, that's something you guys said last time is how fun this is to be healthy. So,
well, it's fun to have doing the deep analysis and looking up stuff takes time. It really, to sit down and douse and figure it out. It's not, I get the text, could you put me in the bowl? I could write a quick message and throw them in, but to really figure out what's going on often takes a little bit more time, but there is ease, and there is power, to turning things around. Oh, you got to share your office story.
Yes. So
I love your stories. I just have to stop and say on the record, 12 months.
Yeah. Yeah. About 12 months, I think, was when I first, and now I have 5 bowls. Well, 3, and I managed 2 for my brother.
Yeah.
But soon to have more. Laura, as a gift, gave me a crock pot tote to take back and forth like a crock pot. So I was able to put my bowl in there, and I bring it to work on Mondays. And at first I had a drawer, an office drawer that I could open up and put it in there. And then if I needed to, I could shut it. But now I found a nice, pretty spot. But I will just open the bowl in the mornings when I get there and just clear my office and clear the entire clinic.
Can you say one more time what you do?
Yeah. So I work as a child and family therapist for the local county. And so we serve kind of extreme poverty kids and families on the Oregon Health Plan. There's about 10 of us on my side of the building. And then there's about 40 clinicians and psychiatrists on the other side of the building. And so I feel like there's lots of negative thought forms floating around that just can kind of needs to go away. So when I get to work, I clear that out. And then I'll pop myself in the bowl, or I now have a witness package for my office with coherence programs and with the win-win-win. But I kind of frantically last week wrote to Laura because I was like, I have a really challenging client coming in, a parent who was very angry, was very hurt. My last 3 sessions with him before that, he would leave and I'd have to like go for a walk and shake off, and I would dream. I would have a hard time falling asleep and letting the client, like letting the thoughts go, even if I was sending them through the door. Like it was just really difficult to work with this person who was really hurting. And so I frantically was like, what can I do? And so Laura recommended the win-win-win and some other ones and some coherence with it. And the session that I broadcasted it to my office was much more productive, was much more calm, was much more loving. I felt much more connected with him and helpful, even though we didn't make miraculous progress of changing his worldview. It just was more settling and loving, and he left and it felt lighter and I slept well. I'm not as worried. So I've been putting those programs in just for just my office, and I'm finding that the sessions are just like a deeper breath. There's that less of that frantic energy in the room. And then if I'm noticing frantic energy in the office space, I'll just open the bowl and just like let it do its open bowl magic. And so I bring it home on Thursday after work and in my little tote bag that everyone thinks is just my lunch. And so, yeah. So it's been lovely. Yeah.
That's a great story.
Beautiful. Oh,
This is what you need next. This is the double.
My double.
It allows for 2 bowls. This is for those who carry 2 crock pots. And this is often my traveling. So, because, sometimes one bowl's not enough, but those crock pot holders, the thermal ones like this.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So the last kind of story I can think of, unless you can think of any more, is my personal story of working with Laura before I even had my own bowl. But I ended up opting to get surgery for my achalasia, and the 6-month follow-up, or maybe, I think it was like the 6-month follow-up, the surgeon was so impressed with himself, and that there was hardly any scar tissue, and it was healing so beautifully, and what a beautiful job he did on his surgery on me. I was like, you could take credit for that, but we know what it was. And then a year later, when I went for my year of follow-up to see if there was silent GERD or silent reflux, like if I was having acid reflux in my esophagus, and they said, no, you're great. And usually at that year, they have to do some adjustments and like open up the sphincter and things like that. And they're like, no, you're healing great. Everything's fine. Like only 5% of cases have this. There's hardly any there's like no scar tissue, and that's really uncommon. And they said like only 5% of people have this surgery and don't end up with scar tissue. And I was one of those 5%. And so, but I know it was because of all of the pre-work that Lori did, as well as during the surgery and after the surgery of healing. And so
it was with DeAnna, she just reached out to me one night. She didn't know about the red doors because I was early on it and I wasn't really ready to start working on people. I mean, Kate, you did that reading for me like the 2 years before and said that there was healing and teaching all over my bone throw. And I'm like, nope. No,
not me.
Not me. And DeAnna is one of those that I was like, DeAnna is one of the people who helped me buy one of additional bowls so she could stay in it more and full time because her stuff was so serious. But I remember when we, helping her, it was so much of it was keeping you fed nutrients, and there was so much going on. But one of the things that when we finally stopped, and you were post surgery and healing great, and like a month after we stopped, you got your first cold.
Oh yeah.
She hadn't been sick that whole time. The whole family kept getting sick, but I kept her. I mean, I just prevented her from getting sick because she didn't need one more thing. I mean, she couldn't keep food down. She lost a terrible amount of weight. The acid coming up, we were constantly needing to heal the skin tissues and everything. There was so much going on. It was just like, we were like, you can't be sick. And so there's sometimes you get those little things that are big things, like what was working, and that getting sick with the rest. Anyways, that was,
I forgot what it felt like to have a cold because I had not had one for like 2 years. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is horrible. And yeah, that and lice set me over, bring me to the side. Yeah, I was like, I think also because I was out of the bowl for probably a year or two before I ended up getting my own, I think it got to the place of like, I miss how I felt when I was in the bowl. Like, yes. When I was getting sick, but, and I tried to do all like, oh, I'm going to eat healthy and I'm going to exercise. And I tried to do all those things, but it didn't feel the same. And so I think, and I kept, that's when I started like kind of opening, like, oh, maybe I need my own bowl. And because I want that all the time. So, yeah.
Okay. Why do we feel so good in the bowls?
Because the bowls are cleaning out the things that are disruptive to your system. Old poisons, physical poisons, energetic poisons, emotional, mental poisons, electromagnetic frequency poisons, our own body debris. Our cells are making debris and chemicals that need to be flushed out right away. And if they don't, then they pile up, we get sick. We just get really sick. So the bowl is helping to keep all of that moving. And this is all just by itself. You don't even have to have a program or an intent or anything. Just by itself, it keeps all of that out. It keeps the negative thought forms out of your body, out of your energy field, out of your space. Those bowls clean the space all by themselves just because of their geometry. It's the multidimensional physics of the geometry with the scalar wave and what that does, how it does what it does. And the bowl, that geometry, it has to be really specific in order to create that kind of scalar wave. And it has the intent of balancing the atmosphere, balancing the space. And it reaches really, really far out. When I was first designing them and we were first producing some, we were just starting to figure out how far the field went. And Helmut and I lived in this teeny little apartment. I knew it went as far as the apartment walls, which I don't know, what's that, 30 or 40 feet? I mean, we're talking about itsy bitsy little spot. So I knew it was at least that big. And then I thought, well, it's got to be 3-dimensional, not just 2-dimensional. So it's probably doing the downstairs, at least partially as well. And from one experience to another, having the bowl in different places, my best friend and cohort in radionics and red door bowl operations, Dorothy, for 40 years now. Her house is much bigger, and of course I took some over there to her, gave her some. And so we could figure out that it went at least as far as her house. That was a lot bigger. She lived on a great big piece of land in Oregon, Eugene, Oregon, and trees and, just a nice little wild piece of property. And so we could walk out and with a pendulum, or she had dowsing rods, so we used them all. And it went at least as far as the property. So I knew the field was that big in all directions. And then we moved to Montana, and we were on the Rockies, on the big ridge. Right on the top of a big ridge, and not much around. We were between two little towns, and you certainly couldn't see the town from there. Couldn't even see any neighbors. The nearest neighbor was, a mile, 2 miles down the road?
Something like that.
Something like that. And it's just wildness out there. So we're at the top of the ridge, and I had my first class. Everybody wanted to know about this and learn it. And so we had 10 people there, and I had 10 bowls, and we hadn't discovered the effect of taking the stuff out of the bowl, having it empty and open, and that if you don't have some negative energy to feed it, it can reach a point of making you feel a little lopsided or a little tired, a little, off. So we figured out that we couldn't have all the bowls open that long all at once for the length of the entire class, which was lasting all day, because it's just too much energy. It's way too much. And this was a great big huge house. It's a mansion-sized house with windows. I don't think I've ever seen windows that big anywhere in my life. Floor to ceiling, very high ceiling, all the way across the whole walls. So we were close to one set of windows, and one of the students was in a position to be able to see out the window, and she interrupts the whole class. We're in the middle of an exercise, and she interrupts the whole class. There's an eagle right outside the window. It might have been a bald eagle. It was a big guy, and right outside the window, flying in circles right outside the window. Well, there went the whole class. They all go to the window, and then they have to all go outside and watch the eagle, who, went up a few feet, but just started circling over all the bowls. And then at that ridge, in a certain spot, you could see way, 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 way out where you're approaching the closest town out there, Livingston. And at the horizon level there, we could see these two dark dots in the sky coming our way. And we're talking really far out, miles out there. And they're coming over, and they come straight over the house, and they start circling right all over the bowls, right over all of them. And they finally go off to the south. And where we're looking is the east. Well, there's another pair. And these pairs are not normal pairs. You'd have like a golden eagle and a bald eagle together, or they usually kind of fight each other for territory. So we had a number of different types of eagles flying together, and we were counting. We stopped counting at about 24, and they're still coming because, it just kind of got a little redundant after. And we need eventually to get back to the class and start, learning some more of the steps and the exercises. So we all went back in, but they were just coming and circling and circling. So that made it pretty obvious that the field was all the way out there to the horizon in all directions. That's a huge field of influence. And it wasn't just because there were 10 instead of one bowl, because we've had the same effect with single bowls. So they clean that space. They're sucking it up, and it looks psychically like they're using the negative energies as fuel, as part of their mechanism. So whatever it was that was making them negative, the particular frequencies, patterns, information, that disappears into subspace. It just no longer doesn't exist anymore. And the energetics of it seem to stay in the spinning of the scalar wave. The scalar wave runs through the center of the bowl. It goes way, way up and way, way, way down. Dimension. It goes into multiple dimensions, and it's a spiral. It's a funnel. It's funneling. Water and energy love to move in a spiral. That's their natural state of being, and when they can do it freely, wondrous things happen. Very, very wondrous things. So when we're working with the bowl, we are taking that energy, that potential, and we're taking our own intent and our focus of our attention and putting that into our intent and telling the bowl, either with thought or with words or with papers that have been typed out or handwritten, or with symbols or pictures, what we would like the bowl to do, what kind of program, what kind of energies, what kind of patterns, healing informations that we want to send. And we tell the bowl where we want it to send to. And we call that our subject or the target. And it goes straight there. That's the thing with a scalar wave. It's working outside of time and space. It's not governed or limited by distance or time. The information arrives instantaneously. It doesn't matter how far you are. And I work with plenty of people pretty much on the other side of the planet. In Australia, New Zealand, Europe, Shanghai. So Shanghai, or where was he living?
I don't know.
Singapore.
Singapore.
Singapore. So everything happens instantaneously. And there's no degradation in the strength of the signal or the content of the information. It arrives perfectly. So the bowl is driven by our intent. It has its own natural effect that nature has given it, and that is to clean out negative psychic energies. So it works beautifully. We have a lot of people who have bought bowls just for their practice. I mean, doctors, MDs, psychiatrists, chiropractors, acupuncturists, massage therapists. I had a couple of lawyers actually, and they always have a bowl in their office. Some of them take it back and forth every day.
All right. That's the psychic composting part.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? Any more stories? Anything, Laura?
I'm excited to have DeAnna's year 2, review of year 2. What what is it? We should do this time again next year and see what happens in the next 12 months, because I have a feeling it's going to be just as exciting.
Absolutely.
DeAnna, I think I just need to say thank you, in multiple times for multiple things. One, for being one of my first, not understanding anything, but having faith and being my guinea pig, because I learned so much in that time period of how to use the bowl. I'm going to say thank you too for everybody in that building, that you're willing to take a bowl in there and clear. I mean, what you're clearing affects us all in the long run. I mean, those negative thought forms being gone, not only is that person, people being affected out in the world, affecting other people, we could come across them and I'd be really grateful that you cleaned them up. So thank you for being that therapist who has a bowl in their room and making, but ultimately, thanks for Laurel. Okay, here, I'm trying not to cry. I'm truly putting, I was that little girl, any parent who's making a sick kid healthier, so they're not at, 50 trying to figure it out now, but letting her douse and play, with the nonlinear and making, not telling her it was wrong or not real. It's just thank you for being that parent. It is just I have so much gratitude for so many things with you, and and Kay, of course. Thanks for creating something that DeAnna could then use to make a better world. I mean, it's just, there's so many wins here. Win could go on and on from this hour of talk. You can just see it rolling out in so many different ways, and it's beautiful. I have so much gratitude for all of you in my life and the things that you do today. Truly.
Oh.
I would love to echo that too, and that I'm so grateful that I won a spirit reading to meet you. Yeah. And that Katasi just felt, to quote my husband, who likes to quote Frozen too, the next right thing. And that Katasi was so accessible for me and just felt really right. And it didn't like that I could do the quick start program on my own time, in my own way. I work full time and I have 2 kids, and and so it was just so accessible. And there were many times in the very beginning where I was like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? And I go, well, I think I did this wrong. And also as I'm like going through the Apprentice One program, there was no judgment. And that's what I loved. It's like, it's, if this is how you need to do it, then do it that way. And if this is slightly better, like, and it just felt like there was just such love and acceptance, and like, do it, like, it was just so accessible. So, Kay, thank you. And thank you for helping me find a way to help my daughters and my husband and my life and the world. And you created that. And I love being the vessel to help spread the love like butter. Or ghee, because now I make ghee. So that's what I do now. So thank you.
Oh man.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you. If you're okay with it, DeAnna, I'm going to share Laurel's picture real quick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's super cute.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I wanted to see it.
I thought I said it to you, but yeah, you'll see it.
Grab your Kleenex.
Oh no, I do. Hang on.
Okay.
I got the big box today.
I don't know if this is going to work. My computer is giving me some weird things.
Well, if you have to, you can send it to me, message it to me, and I can
focus. Okay. I can't do it. I don't think I can do it.
I did pull it up on my screen. If you want to, if you share, share screen. Oh, there, I got it.
Yeah.
I just gave you permission. Yeah.
Oh, there it
Are you guys
is.
seeing it? Yeah.
Oh,
Oh. Yeah. So she is the one who I have my cards. And so she was like, can I put a card in? And so I said, yeah. And so I explained, like, hold the card and ask the bowl, like, would this be helpful right now? And so, yeah. So this is Laurel working with her bowl. So, yeah.
That is a treasure. What a
Oh
treasure.
my goodness. Oh, she's just glowing.
Yeah. Yeah. She's got
It's
little
beautiful.
strawberry stains on her face, because she's 5. That's what
She's
she
a
does.
kid.
She's a kid.
That is really beautiful.
Okay, I have to tell one more story. This is how dedicated of parents the Picketts are. When one of the many times that they came for a reading about their kids and asked what to do for their kids, because why would they ask for themselves? We were talking about Laurel and what she would benefit for before this is before doing the bowl on her. And the spirit said dirt.
Oh,
Do you
Yeah.
They said she needed dirt, like she needed more grounding. She needed dirt to play with. I'll let you finish the story.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay. And so soon thereafter, I actually got a big pile of composting soil for the garden and just would constantly let Laurel just go and play and get dirt everywhere. And she just loved dirt. And so, yeah. So I don't know if there was more to it, but just like,
oh no, to me, that's just like I just love it because it doesn't seem like one of those things, you get a prescription for something. You're not told she needs dirt. And so as parents, they brought in dirt to their suburban backyard. Yeah. I mean, they've got a little bit more of a lot, but they're not in the country like out here. And so they brought in dirt for their daughter to play with, and she loved it.
And for the garden. Help. But I really encouraged her because you had said play with dirt, because our yard had grass in it and so there wasn't a lot of deep emerging into dirt. And so, we got this dirt and I was like, go play in the dirt. And yeah,
She's like, I get permission.
Yeah.
Most kids are like, most parents are like, stay out of the dirt. Don't go in the dirt. Stay clean. This is DeAnna.
Yeah.
Go get dirty.
Yeah.
We'll hose you off later.
Yeah. She loved it for like, it took us a while to go through all of it. And so it was great. And I just kept thinking, she's soaking in the minerals. She's soaking in the minerals. Like that's just the messaging I kept telling myself. I don't know if that was true, but
It's true.
Well,
It's very
there's
true.
there's more to it.
Oh, there's
She's
so
also
much.
soaking in the bacteria, which
Yeah.
the body really, really needs for
Good microbes.
staying healthy.
Yeah.
Got to feed the critters.
And the energy that's in dirt.
Oh yeah.
There's so much life and aliveness, and the water that's in the dirt is so structured and so full of energy and sunlight and rainwater. And yeah, I can relate to Laurel and her dirt because I was the same way. Parents couldn't keep me out of it.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Got in so much trouble. That's my song memory. My 5-year-old birthday, beautiful green dress, and my older sister and I have the same birthday. And so they got distracted with her. And so I took off in the backyard and found a mud puddle. It was May. There was mud every, but it was one of those beautiful days. And the mud, it was like the minerals were calling me in the mud. I can't even I get so in song even now thinking about how until I got caught, which might have just been minutes. I knew everything. That moment in the mud in a pretty dress. I always say I'm diamonds and dirt. I need both. I need sparkly things and muddy things, but yeah, I think we need to create a product that delivers branded mud to every parent for their house. Instead of play sand, we give them dirt.
You could take a little radionics vial, little glass vial with a lid, go get a sample of the good dirt, and you can use it as a reagent in the bowl to broadcast to whoever, whatever. Yeah, or the room, the space, the house. Yeah.
I got good dirt. I have coherent dirt.
Okay, guys.
And we got off track.
Enough with the dirt. Thank you. Thank you. So beautiful.
thank you.
Any other thoughts?
Any coherent stories?
They're all intertwined with coherence because I really became a Red Door user right as coherence was coming out. So they're all intertwined with me. So yes, Laurel absolutely has coherence in the program. And the big one there, Tyler got weepy, was a coherence program, putting him in that. And so, yeah.
This is beautiful.
Such wonderful, wonderful stories and experiences.
All right.
Last thoughts?
All right. Quick announcements for the holidays through November. We have specials going. You can find them at katassereddoor.com or at lauraketty.com. Super specials. If you want to get started, if you need more bowls, if you really want to dive into the deep end, it's all there. So, and for those who already have the Red Door and still need the coherence, there's something there too. So again, katassereddoor.com and lauraketty.com. And that's also the places where you can get in touch with us if you have questions. Laura has, tomorrow, Laura, gathering. If you are living in the Northwest or you want to travel there tomorrow, at Laura's place. Also, they can also find that on your main website, right? The gathering. You want to
the same page, my homepage. You can't miss it. There's a big big box right at top that says November is about red doors. If you click it, you'll see all the stuff, red doors, including an RSVP to come join us tomorrow. If you're in the area, just need RSVPs to know who's all coming. And DeAnna's going to be there too. So any parents wanting to come and talk all things kid with her, you can talk all things dirt with me. Obviously. Because I'm going to be playing with dirt now that Kate put that idea in my head. But no, I'd love to. And happy, very, very happy to talk to anybody about these practices. And I've got a few people to talk to, but I'll get as many in the month of November why these discounts and opportunities are coming, whether in person or Zoom. Happy to.
So there's going to be you two and probably other clients and practitioners, right?
Yep. Laura Philpott, who
Is it kid okay?
What's that?
Sorry to interrupt. Is it kid okay for the kids to come?
Oh, I love the kids.
Goats to play with.
Goats to play with, and my goats are kids, literally. But they're no, they're all welcome. It's definitely welcome, and you can bring your kids out. And I think seeing is oftentimes in feeling. That was the first time Laura, who from last week, her and her wife came out and saw the bowl and could feel the energy coming off of it and use the pendulum. So it was a little more real. So I love making those opportunities to actually see the tangibleness of it and feel. I mean, it's amazing for me, who's more of a feeler, that we do have people in the group who are seers, who can see the energy, especially the kids often can still see the energies coming off. But play with the pendulum, see how it works, meet other practitioners, other users, parents who are using it, people who are using it on themselves. And then also I do have some clients who rather I just use the bowl on them than do it themselves. They actually are coming tomorrow too. So we have a nice little group of red door users of all different levels. And definitely we have a few people already coming who have never seen them before. So it'll be fun. I'll have coffee and tea and goats, not to eat, to play with if you want.
Okay, we're good. So that's tomorrow. When do you guys start?
11 a.m. Pacific time till 1 p.m. Yeah, it's best to come early because there's a lot of sharing.
All right.
Sounds like fun.
Always.
Okay. Thank you again. Thank you, DeAnna. Beautiful, beautiful. Thanks, Laura. Thank you so much, Kay. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. This has just been just incredible, just so beautiful. I love all these stories and experiences. And they're very valuable, very real. We need to share more stories. Our culture's gotten out of the habit of that. We need to get back to that. Thank you. Thank you, Helmut. And for all the things that you do behind the scenes that nobody could even imagine and make this happen. And Laura, too. You're doing a lot. Yeah. So thank you. And thank you all out there watching and listening.
We're working on a special Thanksgiving show. I don't know if we're going to pull it together, but there may be something super special. We'll announce that if it comes together. But anyway, no matter whether it does or doesn't, happy, beautiful Thanksgiving holidays with your loved ones and family. And we see you after that holiday, except for the people that show up tomorrow.
I'll see you all tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you. Love you.
Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Love y'all.